We are live, coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor, and tonight we are joined by Alex. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are here. We're back from the dead. Rivals 2 deep dive. I'm excited, Alex. I'm so pumped tonight. One of my favorite seasons. Rivals 2. And it's just arguably the two people that are most all in on this Stir the Pod, me and you. Can't be much better than that.
Yeah, it's hard to debate that. I'm just looking. So it looks like our last time we went live was actually a month ago. Because obviously it's challenge off season. Was a month ago for the challenge Rivals 1 deep dive. And I think the first deep dive we did was Rivals 3.
So wait. So we went 3-1, now 2?
Yes. Call us Goose Island.
Wait. Before we go 2, should we do 4 and then 2?
What is that, All-Stars?
Yeah, I haven't even seen All-Stars.
God, Rivals 2, a great season. I think this is maybe the 5th season we've done on the pod, 4th or 5th. So, obviously we're going to prioritize some of our favorite ones, some of the fan favorites. And, I mean, this is right up there, right? Like Rivals 2 is at the top of the list if you're just doing any sort of power ranking, right?
I think this was the peak era of the challenge, kind of this stretch, the 20 through 30. 30, I'm very Maso Meadows on that. I bulge at the 20 to 29 era. And I know I talked about it during our era 2 pod, or I guess that was era 3 pod.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring this up because so when we talk about Rivals 2, we're going to get into everything that happened like within the season. But to me, one of the first things I think of is like what this takes me back to being as a challenge fan when the challenge was at its peak. And back in the day, this was 2013 when Rivals 2 came out.
Jeez.
And back then it was like a challenge season would come out. You would see the cast. You'd anticipate like an A season, A+ season, and you would get it like back to back. And it's funny that you bring up the peak because I was thinking about this. I think I might have said this on one of our other ones. I think the 3-season stretch that starts from here, Rivals 2, Free Agents, X's 2, all 3 in a row. I don't know if there's a better 3-season run if you're just picking 3 consecutive seasons in the challenge history. I just don't.
I mean, that's Chicago Bulls in the 90s. Like, unbelievable.
It's
some of
the best seasons, all 3 in a row. And, you have some good ones after that. But right after X's 2 was Bloodlines, and right before Rivals 2 was Seasons, Battle of the Seasons. So there's like a couple not so great seasons outside of that. But with Rivals 2, if you skip Battle of the Seasons, going back further, you have Battle of the X's, which I think is a good underrated season. Rivals, which is like one of my favorites, like Cutthroat, Fresh Meat 2, Ruins. Like you have a lot of good seasons building up. I think Rivals 1 kind of took it to another level. And then once Battle of the Seasons happened, and it was kind of a letdown, we just wanted like another home run season again. And then they put out the cast list. They put out the format. We all loved Rivals. So the fact that they were doing a sequel to it was phenomenal. And they gave us a third one because we liked this one so much. Like just everything around Rivals 2 worked. And it was a lot of hype. And I think it all lived up to the hype.
Let me go this route with you before we actually break down Rivals 2, but just Rivals as a whole. Is it straight up? And I see Mikey the Doctor in the comments. Love to have you back, Mikey. Is this, when it's a true rivalry, is this the best format of the challenge?
When you say true rivalry, you mean like they actually hate each other?
Yeah, I'm not saying this bullshit, Mickey Mouse, they cussed at me and now we're rivals kind of thing. Like true hated. I mean, Wes and CT, great example of two people that hated each other.
Yeah, I think my answer is no.
Ooh.
Because I think I'm slightly partial to X's.
Yeah.
Because I like that in X's seasons, everybody's playing in the same game. Whereas Rivals, it is on this one, we we know Rivals 3 did the mixed pairs, but like Rivals 2, Rivals 1, loved the great seasons. The one like small nitpick about it, picking nits, is the fact that like guys are kind of playing one game, girls are playing another game, whereas like X's, they're all kind of, going after the same thing. But I mean, Rivals has to be like the number 2 option for me. Just getting 2 people that hate each other.
Your one comment there about how it's kind of like 2 games in one. I do like how they did in Rivals 2, where the guys vote in the girls. So there is like a little, we'll get into it, but a little element to it.
Okay, I did want to bring that up because I kind of feel the opposite way.
Oh, you don't like, you would rather it just be straight up like
I'd rather everybody votes for everybody.
doesn't matter, guys. So if it's like a female elimination, just females voting or literally everyone?
Everybody instead of just the guys.
Hmm.
We'll get into it.
Maybe. We always say we might, but
So let me ask you this before we get into the season, because I know we're kind of doing high level thoughts here. Were you tuned into the challenge yet? Had you been watching live? Was this like a watch them all while you're skipping school? What happened there again?
this was live.
You watched this one live?
This was live.
I thought you knocked them all out in a day or something.
No, that was Rivals 1.
Was it?
What's I don't know. They're all
thought it
blend.
was
I'm pretty
this
sure it
one.
was Rivals 1.
I thought it was this one.
They all blend together. But
I remember. So for me, I know I was watching this live because my first season I watched live was Rivals. So I watched Rivals, loved it. Tuned in for X's, loved it. Tuned in for Battle of Seasons, didn't love it.
this was 100% my first season live.
Okay.
I'm almost positive because there's no way my first season live was Free Agents. There's no way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because Free Agents, I mean, we'll get into that maybe a FaceTime at Ireland-esque.
That was Rivals 3.
Oh, classic mix-up. God.
So I mean, I was
Bananas. Bananas is already on my mind. But thankfully, the season was so long ago. Like, we don't have like Bananas like still in the game or anything like that, right?
no, of course not. CT, Derek.
Yeah. Derek and Rob.
All right, so Rivals 2. What do we think about it? What's like? I'm trying to think. Where do we want to start?
I think we should just start at the front of the season.
What do we think collectively about the cast? There's 32 people on it. Do we think they did a good job?
So I think the cast overall is solid. I think it's a good mix. I mean, you look at some of the rookies we had. I mean, Jordan's first season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a friend of the program, Mighty Mouse. Overall, like, I think one thing, and I hate to say it, because I think the females, this challenge with like the competitors were kind of weaker.
Yeah.
And I think if Naomi stayed in the game, I think it would have been a way worse season for the female. Adding Cara to the mix, Cara and Cook, great team. I think even in the reunion show, Cara said, like, if I wasn't there, Cook was going home like week 2.
Yeah.
I think she literally called her out for that. I don't think Cook was actually there for the reunion show.
Reunion.
But,
Yeah, the cast was really good. And it was just like a good time for a lot of these people. Like Bananas was just peak Bananas. I think this is the first season he brought on his bobblehead. CT was like peak CT. You had Emily, Cara comes on late. Camilla, I know she's banned. Wes, Teresa, Nani, like Nani in her like heyday, like I'm coming on, cashing a check every season, hooking up with guys era. Jordan, Marlon were like a very fun rookie team. Like, yeah, I think the cast overall was really good, and it was really good on Rivals 1 too. Like Rivals 1 also. Rivals 3 took a dip, but I mean, this is just like around, like going back to kind of the heyday of the challenge was most of these seasons they did like a to A+ on the cast, and I feel like this is no different.
Well, I think like you said, like I think everybody was kind of, I don't want to say in their prime, but in their younger days, where there wasn't really like, I mean, you look at the cast. Who was kind of the oldest person? Like, who's probably? I
It
mean,
was like
Paula.
probably like Paula or CT.
Yeah, which is great. I mean,
And
CT
he
still
would
like 10
continue to
seasons
be the
now.
oldest person for like 20 more years.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It was all like young and fresh, and it's almost like fresh
Well,
meat esque.
and it was 2 seasons before X's 2, which means it was 2 seasons before Are You the One? And once we
Correct.
started going to Are You the One, everybody started coming. So like this was one of the last couple seasons where it truly was like real world, fresh meat, road rules. That's what we got. That's who we're riding with. And so like watching this season, and we talk about this all the time, watching this season, you felt like you had a backstory with these people, right? Like even if you don't watch Real World, you know that like Knight and Preston were roommates and they hated each other. And you know that like Wes and CT, they did Rivals together and they hated each other. And you have all of these like seasons upon seasons of rivalries that just make so much more sense. Or like if they did a Rivals 4 now,
5.
if they consider Rivals 5, whatever, they did another Rivals, we'd still want that, but like you'd have to think like we probably wouldn't have the same like intensity in a lot of these rivalries. Like these still felt really real.
Yeah, there's not really a rivalry. I don't know. There's really nothing. I mean, what if you were to go Rivals 5 right now? What is the biggest rivalry you could come up with this new era? Like, I would argue, I mean, maybe like, I mean, I hate to bring them involved, but like Bananas and Devin.
That was literally the first thing that came to my mind. And it's Bananas like 45 years old.
I know.
Like that
I don't
shouldn't be
want
the
to.
number one answer for new era, but it
I
is.
agree, but like my other options are what, like Corey and Math. Like, what else do I got?
Corey and birth control. I mean, there's a lot of
Yes,
good combinations there, but none of them are as good as CT and Wes.
Nelly and giving speeches.
God. Speaking of speeches, I mean, I don't know about any of the listeners. I think we both have Rivals 2 kind of just playing in the background right now. What a sight it was to see episode 1, Bananas doing his toast. I mean, just back in the heyday of Bananas being Bananas.
As I always say, there's nothing better when we just give these guys a bunch of alcohol and they just go nuts with it. Like, I just think that's the best thing you can possibly do on reality TV.
You do
Just
always say that, Trev.
yeah. All right. Let's dive in. How
Okay.
should we do this, Alex? Should we just start listing off teams from last to first?
I think that's worked for us in the past. I think we do that again.
All right. So I kind of hinted at earlier. Naomi quitting. What else is new?
Yeah,
I think that's all the time we really need to talk about her, right?
absolutely.
I mean, she's a quitter. So moving on to the first team eliminated. Should I do like male, female, or should I just go in order and we can kind of go back and forth?
I think we go back and forth.
All right. So first team eliminated was Dunbar and Tyree, which people forget. Never mind.
Yeah, people can Google that.
Yeah, people can Google Dunbar
Yeah,
and why he's not on the show.
make sure you have the safe search on.
Incognito.
Incognito.
Yes. Dunbar and Tyree.
This is borderline skippable.
I mean, these guys, they stink. They stink. I mean,
They're
I don't know.
two bigger guys, seem like they can lift weight. They've both been historically bad at the challenge. I know Dunbar is a champ. People forget that. Tyree loses every time. There were rumors after this season that Dunbar threw the elimination so that he could get out of there. If you watch him on episode 1, he looks fucking miserable. I would be too. I'd be miserable if I was Tyree. This is just like this. If we're doing retroactive, what our power rankings would have been, I actually don't think they're last. We'll get into that later. But there's zero shot this team's making a final or doing it.
They are bad.
They're
not
terrible.
bad in a good way.
They're terrible.
God. Also, fun fact, both of these guys, excluding Tyree with the bullshit All-Stars, last seasons, they ever run a challenge.
That's a good one.
So, Moving on, Anastasia and Jessica. I think Andy really liked this team.
He's a big Jessica guy.
I know he's a big Jessica fan. Anastasia, I mean, wasn't she going for CT? And like CT just completely like, I almost want to say it was like Reggie Bush stiff arm, like.
Well, I mean, CT. We'll talk about CT. CT was a maniac all season, and I think he hooked up with at least 3 girls, Anastasia being the first of them. And it was just like CT coming in there, looking good, being a douchebag, finding these rookie girls, tapping them out. They go home, and there's not a single drop of sweat off CT's back when she goes home. He doesn't give one shit.
I don't have it up right now, but I'm pretty sure he voted her in too.
Did he?
I don't think they finished last. They definitely did finish last. I'm looking at it right now.
They did or did not?
They finished last, so they got thrown in automatically. And the team that got voted in was Cara and Cook.
Well, do you remember?
I thought CT did something to her.
Wait a minute. So Anastasia and Jessica lost to Cara and Cook.
Yes.
Which is classic that Cara and Cook were voted in, like everybody ganging up on Cara. But do you remember what TJ said once those 2 girls walked away?
Hope to see you never.
No, remember he said like Anastasia and Jessica, like it was after they walked away from the elimination ground, I think, and he said, I guess that's what you get when you smoke cigarettes all day and don't eat.
No way.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, Mikey, come on. Or Boogie Brown. Somebody's got to be here.
Boogie Brown? Boogie hasn't been cited since 2020.
You really don't remember that? Episode 2 is going to start playing for me here. 100%. He says that, and it all kind of cuts to the cast, and they're like, oh, and just like shitting on Anastasia out of nowhere.
God.
And it is true. I mean, you see her. She's like rail thin on this episode.
Oh. Damn. I didn't know TJ. I guess back then, TJ had a backbone, and like
he did. He called people out back then.
God, can we bring the old TJ Lavin back? Question mark.
TJ on Rivals 2 looks skinny. I noticed that watching episode 1.
God, he kind of looks good.
God.
No homo.
So Jessica and Anastasia go home. Jessica, she would actually come on to do like what 2 or 3 more seasons.
So. Do you like Jessica or no?
Not really. I don't mind her.
I think she's like, she's just fine. She's somebody who goes home 1 through 6 episodes, like episode 1 through 6.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know why Andy likes her so much. I'm so confused by that.
I don't know either. I always like the fun fact that she's married to a Houston Astro. People forget that.
She is?
Yes.
God, I think. Oh yeah, she's married. Isn't the guy's name like Altuve or something?
Oh God.
God.
All right, who's next?
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the clip right now of Anastasia going home mid. But the person who went home.
Get that audio.
What?
Get that audio.
I'm working on it.
All right, so the next guy's elimination.
Whoa, we have a girls' elimination. Well, sort of.
Oh, okay. I see.
Somebody quit.
You're right. ...
Do you remember who?
Yeah, Sarah and Trishelle. Well, Trishelle quit, and then Sarah got pulled in after that. So let's talk about that. So Sarah and Trishelle go home episode 3?
Yeah.
They go home episode 3. Trishelle just quits. She's clearly a lunatic, a maniac. But she had done the season before. She did battle the seasons, made the final. And Sarah and Trishelle, like, I feel like that's a sneaky good team. Like, they could have made the final. I don't think that's crazy to say. Like we said, I think the females, there's like clearly a 1 and clearly a 2. After that, in team, like in terms of like team order, I think Sarah and Trishelle could have been right there.
Everybody is so high on Sarah Rice. I'm just not a fan of Sarah Rice. I don't know.
Well, she hadn't won at this point. So she hadn't
won, and then what? Wasn't her puzzle elimination?
Well,
The season before that?
that was Rivals 1, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what? I didn't think she was that good.
I don't either. This was though when Trishelle quit and kind of took Sarah with her. It was a big everybody feeling bad for Sarah moment because the last Sarah made the final 2 the season before on Battle of the Seasons, but then on X's she was paired with Vinny, and Vinny I think took Mandy's top off. And got sent home and took Sarah with him. So like back to or like 2 seasons in a row, basically, she was eliminated early because of her partner. And then before that, she was on Rivals with the guy from Like Mike. And so she just had a string of like very bad partners and bad luck. And it's like Trishelle continued it. And eventually, she got her 2 rings and $0 on one of her wins. But this is just like all time, people feeling bad for Sarah.
Yeah, I know. Even though, like, I have to admit, that would suck if you fly all the way out to Thailand and you literally go
Of
home
course.
3. Like, come on. Um, Before we talk about the next person, I know one of your favorites, Derek and Rob. Um, I want to bring up because I brought up Thailand. What'd you think about the house?
The house looked cool. Um, if I was like, if I had the option to like take like a week long vacation to a challenge house, this is definitely not one of them. Just because, no, I guess nothing to the house, but the location. Everybody was so fucking sweaty all season. It looked like it was so hot there. Like I could not imagine like the sleeping conditions there and like trying to sleep. Like I would need like the Gauss 6 box fan setup there. Um, but the house itself looked cool. I mean, it had a lot of like rooms. It looked like it was maybe all one story, just like very wide. It had the pool outside. Um, so not like a top tier house for me, but maybe like a good second tier challenge house.
Oh, I was gonna say, and this might be a hot. I think this is one of the worst challenge houses.
Wow.
I
Okay.
mean, this is up there with the first 5 episodes of Invasion.
Oh, when they were like living on the beach or whatever?
Yes.
God.
It's up there with the island.
God. Why do you hate it so much?
It looked miserable. I mean, the house was sick, like, don't get me
That's what I'm
wrong,
saying.
but, like, they had, like, mosquito nets they were sleeping in, like, it was brutal. There were bugs everywhere, like
It did. I think if you literally could somehow take that exact house and the
eh
setup and everything, put it in a different country, I think it's much better.
yes, that's fair.
Like I think the pool and the outdoor voting room and all of that were cool. It just looked miserable. And I think we have to kind of take a quick derail here for Mikey's question of which house would we go to for a week? Which challenge house?
Oh, I got it. Sorry to interrupt. I got the clip.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, tell me if you
TJ?
can hear it.
But I still like her as a
Can you
partner
hear?
because I think
Yeah.
she's a competitor. I definitely have my work cut out for me.
I mean, I guess you shouldn't smoke cigarettes and not eat. So
She tried.
she did try.
So I did ask.
Just wasn't enough. So this is your time here in Thailand.
God, if I could
Oh.
play the clip too, Wes's fit. They cut to Wes as soon as that said. His jaw is
I
like,
told you. Wait, so Jessica was still there.
yeah. So when she fell into the water,
That's when she freaked out, right?
yes,
Yeah, so that I mean, it makes more sense why TJ said that because he's just like, get this girl out of here.
correct.
God, that's awesome.
Sorry to interrupt. Back to what you were saying, Mikey the doctor. I think you were gonna answer
Yeah.
his question.
Yeah, so what challenge house would you want to go to for like a week-long vacation? It's a great question.
I think it depends when, because Fresh Meat 2
The cabin?
in the winter would be if you had like a group of your friends to go in the winter,
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Battle of the X's 2 stands out to me.
X's 2.
The picture of Jordan like jumping in the water.
Isn't that Free Agents?
Oh, sorry, yeah. God, all these houses. Wait, what was the battle or
I can't really picture X's 2 house. It was pretty normal, I thought. Free Agents was a good house. It was kind of like off by itself. I think it was like there was like kind of a shoreline in the distance, basketball court in the house. I think that's a good pick. My number one would probably be Total Madness. Remember when they were all underground?
I was gonna say the bunkers.
No, that's definitely not that.
You said the island.
Not the island. I think the Rivals one was a good one. Free Agents was a good one.
You know what was a dope one too? Was the Rivals what's it called? The Rivals house when they switched and had like the mountain in sight. Like you
Oh
looked
yeah,
out the window and you saw the mountain. That was sick.
we're gonna have to climb that tomorrow.
They're like joking and then, yep, get ready. You're climbing this.
An underrated one that I kind of like is Cutthroat. It was like the weird, like I don't even know how you would describe it, but it was like a huge, just like almost like a palace, but it was just like it looked like kind of boring on the outside, but on the inside it looked really cool. And there's a hot tub. Remember Laurel called Big Easy fat out there. Like I think there's some good potential with the Cutthroat house.
I think Rivals 3 is a good house too.
Rivals 3.
Wasn't that like the yellow one or whatever? And then
Yeah.
like, that's where they saw like Ashley and Corey fucking in the bathroom, or Ashley and Jamie. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. That's a good one.
I don't know, dude. Fresh Me 2 had a great house. Like that cabin was when they're maybe it's because like when they also come back from elimination, they're all on top of the balcony, like watching.
Yeah.
Like, that just looks.
Well,
I think I stayed at a house spring break one year that looked very similar. But
don't sleep on the season 40 house.
Season 40.
That house was fucking huge. Remember, it was a wedding venue.
Oh yeah, they were
People
through
staying-
beds.
Yes.
God, that was. I think you can literally go to Airbnb and do that.
God, if only we knew someone getting married soon that we could throw the wedding there.
Come on. I'm looking at the Double Agents house. That's a
Double
classic
Agents.
The one where it has like the giant deck where it connected the houses together and people would work out in the green space in the middle.
I don't know if
I'm trying to see what else.
Ruins house is good. I mean, a lot of them are good.
I also love how half of them are like just not houses and they just like make it a house.
They have to just throw bunk beds in there.
Oh, look at our house. It's beautiful.
God.
God. All right.
All right,
Let's
who's
get,
next?
Let's get the train back on the tracks. Derek and Rob.
We're still at Derek and Rob. Okay.
Is there really much to talk about Derek and Rob?
No, very skippable. I think this is a team that would have been low on the power rankings. They were both on Battle of the Seasons, both made it far on there. And so they kind of, I liked having them on, I guess, because it kind of continues the storyline from the last season. And it's kind of funny now seeing Derek go home early, which is part of the reason why we rated him so low on season 40. And then he gets a silver medal in season 40. But just, nothing really of note. I mean, they won their first elimination against Tyree, but that's about it.
I know you said when Tyree finished last, when he and Dunbar finished last, you said they weren't the worst team.
Like, had we been doing preseason rankings back in the day,
Correct.
Derek and Rob would not have been last for me.
So we still have not said your last place name.
That's correct.
Okay.
What would I think it would have been at the time? But Derek and Rob would have been probably bottom 3. I think they would have been third to last, but above this team in Tyree and Dunbar. I don't know. I mean, you saw like episode 1, episode 2. The reason they got voted in twice was because they just had nobody going for them. Like, it was a lot of older women still. And, they had like Jasmine and John A from like Cancun, but that was really about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next team. Friend of the program, Trey and Zach.
Trey and Zach. Wait, did you go to the... I guess that... Were they next?
I think they did back-to-back guy eliminations.
Okay, because
the reason why was because Sarah went home.
Okay. Zach and Trey. So, what do we think about this? This is the first time like a good team went home, I would say, like losing an elimination. Zach was just, a reigning champ at this point. Trey, friend of the program. I like this team. I wanted them to go a little farther, and I think this just kind of speaks to what do we think just about the Zach elimination DQ? Like, that was an all-time moment. When I think back to Rivals 2, this is one of the things that comes to mind first.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the best. I love the. Oh, I didn't do it. They clearly checked the tape, and it is just hilarious.
So they beat Leroy and Ty.
Yes.
Do you know? Let me check the Wikipedia. Do you know if this was the time Leroy and Ty got burned by the burn vote, or was it the? I guess no. I think it was this one.
It was this time for sure.
They were voted in. So Trey and Zach lost to Leroy and Ty. They could have won. And what do we think? Like, it was very clear. TJ said, "You guys have to alternate. Don't know what you guys are doing." And there was no gray area. Like, it was black and white. You cheated.
Yeah. I think it was just one of those times where Zach is just. I mean, that's just classic Zach, honestly.
It is.
It's like early Zach where he is just so like out of control. I mean, literally, like he's going faster than his body. Like,
yeah,
it's just I don't know. I kind of felt bad for our friend of the program, Trey.
Yeah, like Zach. I feel like recent season Zach, like the ones that he's done recently, he's a better overall challenger because he's like a little skinnier but still strong and like in better shape, and he's just like tempered down, like he's quieter, he's fine like laying in the background more, and that's like more suited to like be a better challenger. But I give me the fucking early stages Zach with the long hair just being a dick to everybody, screaming. Remember, he threw the helmet after he thought he won, and then eventually lost. Like, that version of Zach, I think, is just like so smirk.
It was Zach pre JC.
That's true. And I kind of want to do a Zach, I get maybe Legends tour. I mean, he is a champ at some point. I think his career is really interesting, and I think this is a great example of the first half of his career. He was just in his own way so many times, and this is like the perfect example of this. I think Trey, friend of the program, was like maybe a good enough challenger to like make a final with him and like run a final with Zach and like have a shot. And it was 100% Zach's fault why they went home. And to go home to be 6 out of 8 teams for the guys, I think they could have been up in that like 3-4 range. And this ended up being the last season for Trey, friend of the program. I kind of wanted to see him back, but we got Zach back for, several more seasons.
We need to talk to our friend of the program, Trey, to see if he can come back. Maybe we'll have to give him a call. We still have his number, right?
Oh yeah, I can text him right now.
Why don't you text Derek while you're at it?
All right. Who's next?
All right. Jasmine and Teresa.
Okay.
Such an interesting team this is.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, I think Teresa's always a top competitor when she's in the game. Jasmine is just a wild card. Like, she is nutty.
She is nutty. She's also just bad at the challenge.
God, is she?
Yes. She's fun to watch. So I give that to her. Like, I want her on maybe every few seasons, but like, she was not a good challenger. And like Teresa, who looked amazing this season, by the way. Teresa, and I think this is the season she hooked up with Leroy.
Yeah.
That's why they were kind of the last minute X's on X's too. But Teresa is just like a classic person who's like a solid number 2 in a partnership. She can't be the number 1. Like, if she's the number 1 with Jasmine as your number 2, there's just like, there's no the ceiling. Jasmine brings down the ceiling so much.
Yeah.
And like I just wasn't surprised that they went home this early.
I don't know. I mean,
What would you? I didn't know you were a big Jasmine stan.
no, I'm just saying, like, I just thought Teresa was like could carry more weight. I mean, she only weighed like 20 pounds, but like,
Yeah, she never made a final though.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
But all right.
And this,
Wait. Technically, she did. You're saying Teresa never made a final?
oh, well, she made one with X's too.
It was an asterisk.
Yeah,
but
I guess that kind of counts.
talk about a great rivalry, though. If we had another season of Rivals back in the day, Teresa and Nani, that would have been awesome.
Teresa and Nani should have been a rivalry at some point. Yeah,
Post
X's too.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Teresa, I just can't say it enough. Like Teresa in her peak, like
Throwing a thousand.
around Rivals too. Like I don't know if there's a lot of girls that are topping her. Remember
Isn't
that?
she married to a football player too?
Yeah, I think divorced.
Lions?
Yeah, I think divorced. Can we might have to put in the clip of the strip basketball scene, even though it's not from that season.
Oh, free agents?
Yes,
God. Did she play college basketball or high school basketball? She must have played high
you
school.
must have.
I mean, college. Was she even 21 at the
Did
time?
any of these people go to college?
God, I'm sure somebody did, right? Right?
I don't
Didn't
know.
Bananas go to Penn State?
He was wearing the Scooby Doo costume.
Yes. Johnny
All right, who's next?
All right. Next we got Leroy and Ty.
Okay, Leroy and Ty. Interesting team. Feel like this is a very popcorn muscle team.
Why were these guys even rivals?
They were rivals because, for one, Ty was the reason that Leroy's partner Adam got kicked off of Rivals 1. They basically like enticed him to getting punched, and then on X's, Emily and Ty beat Leroy. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. They didn't beat them, or did they? Who beat? I think they did. Emily and Ty beat Leroy and Naomi in elimination.
Mm.
So it's kind of like two not great things, but two small things that kind of added up to their rivalry. Which I don't hate it. I know it's a little stretch. I don't hate it though, because I like having Leroy on every season basically for a dozen seasons in a row, and he's not a guy that has a lot of rivals. But I think this is a team that's like athletic, strong, not good at the political game, doesn't know how to play it. Ty was basically a mute this season. Like he didn't really have any storylines or anything. Leroy was classic Leroy. And so this is just like classic them to finish 5th out of 8 teams, right?
Yeah. The thing is about Leroy, I mean, this was season 3 for him. Like he was still pretty fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to your point, like at this point, like we saw him in Rivals 1 and then X's. We wanted to see him every season. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, and I hate to say it, the best that never was. Like, I felt like he had so much potential, and it just never happened. I love Leroy. Like, one of the biggest fan favorites.
Yeah.
In challenge history. And maybe, I mean, he's got easily top 5 competitor to never win a challenge. But like, I'll argue it might even be like top 1, 2, or 3. Like,
yeah, I think there's a great case for that. I think that might be a side pod at some point. And I don't know, like I when Leroy hit, like you said, this was season 3 for him.
Mm-hmm.
When he hit season 5, season 6 range, you just started to get that feeling he was never going to win.
Yeah.
Like whether it was luck or he was around a lot of good challengers still, like, and he had so many shots. This I don't think was one of them, because like I think when you see Leroy and Ty are partners, you know that they're like the ceiling for them is like maybe 3rd place. Like there's no way they can beat like the CTs, Wes's, Bananas of the world. But like they can like do some stuff, and I think they won a daily or something. And so they're not terrible, but you knew their ceiling wasn't super high either. And I think one of the kind of underratedly smirky things is that you can kind of say if you want to shit on them, you can kind of make the argument that they lost 2 eliminations this season to Zach and Trey. But yeah, I think they're just a classic middle of the road team. And I think this was the last time we saw Ty.
Yeah. Speaking of middle of the road teams, John A. and Nani.
Oh yeah,
I
Nani,
mean, Nani. Okay, you can go first.
Nani just throwing 100. I think this was only her second season, right?
Really?
I think Battle of the Seasons was her rookie season, and I think it started maybe a string of like Nani was one of those when she started doing the challenge as a rookie, she didn't stop. Like I
Yeah.
can't think off the top of my head what the first one without her was. Like she was on a lot in a row, and she was looking great. She was looking great on this season. I think on this season she hooked up with CT and I think Marlon. And Marlon actually hooked up with Derek too, so that's kind of a fun connection. But she hooked up with CT, and John A hooked up with Jordan. I think she hooked up with Jordan, right? That was when Jordan called himself the Great Gatsby. But John A and Nani, just like a class, like you said, middle of the road team. They're 2 girls who, anytime they were on a season, they were getting like middle of the pack. And John A did her fair share of seasons too. And like, you saw this team and you knew that there was a chance they might win elimination, but like, the ceiling wasn't super high either.
Let me go this route with you. If I would have played the clip earlier, looking at the cast list of maybe you should have spent less time smoking cigarettes and all this stuff. And if I wasn't paying attention and didn't know, I think Nani would have been up there for the first person I would have thought of.
That would have been your guess?
Yes.
I mean, that's fair.
God.
Nani. We need to do like a side Legends tour for somebody like Nani, because she's somebody who's not a legend, but she was for a long, long time a classic challenge character.
I think we can give her a Legends tour, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, hell, we gave Anissa a Legends tour.
That yeah, I guess at this point we can do anything.
I mean, our legends are pretty like skewed. It's very champs versus stars.
But don't you think one for her would be kind of fun, because she's done a ton of seasons. She has probably 20 hookups at this point, and so like all of that would be fun. She's made a few finals, and like she's someone that I feel like at every stage of her career she was pretty easy to root for.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Like if we went into that pod and just had the full list of every single person she hooked up with. I mean, if you were to guess now, I know you jokingly said 20, but like, is that what you set the over-under at? Like 20 and a half?
It's probably pretty close to that. And let's not sleep on the fact that, her and Casey called off the engagement, and I think she's on 41. I could be wrong about that. I think she's on 41. And so that number's going up by at least 2.
Oh my God. Crazy. All right, next team. Preston and Knight. The funny thing is the elimination where they're blindfolded is the only that's like the memory I have for there's actually another memory we'll get into. But the blindfold where you're like hitting that
was against Derek and Rob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that elimination all the time for them. Great win for them.
It was. I think this is like a classic thing that happens in challenge season where you have a bad team that just sucks and is not going to do anything, is terrible, and they're just going to go home at some point. I think of I guess Jay and Jenna made the final, but that they're never going to do anything. This is like that. Knight and Preston, they have alliances, which is basically what, because Knight was kind of like Knight RIP. But he kind of sucked Zach's dick, sucked CT's dick. He just loved those guys. And so they were willing to keep him around just for a laugh and a beer. But but they were terrible. And like when Knight is your number one guy, you know that you're just doing nothing there. And so they went into that elimination against Jordan and Marlon. And that, there was just, I remember Knight at one point like had like the things that you can like clip the chains off of, which we were supposed to do. It wasn't working for him, so he decided to like jump on them, thinking that like he could like kick through them. Just an idiot. And RIP. But just like a terrible team. So this would have been my last in the power.
Ooh, okay. I think we have to bring up the reunion show.
Oh my God.
Knight slapping Frank. I mean, just insane. Insane.
Let's talk about Knight for a sec. That was an all-time reunion, an all-time moment. Just slapping Frank and then just getting pushed off the stage. They had the fucking bleep guy should have gotten a raise because every other word was a cuss word from those clowns. Like it was so good watching them. And then another. What were you gonna say about the reunion?
Well, I was gonna bring up one other moment with him. I was
And
just
Marlon?
confirming it was that what?
And Marlon?
No. I was gonna bring up him and Jemmy in the catch-up.
Oh, that was this season, right?
Yes. I mean, talk about two lunatics. And then Jemmy's scared of ketchup for whatever reason. Knight just like throwing ketchup at her.
So stupid. I think one of the episode titles was whatever the word for fear of ketchup is.
I mean, come on, that's not true.
I think there's actually a word for it, and I think that was one of the episode titles. Ryan McCord, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mikey the Doctor, have some respect.
No, I saw McCord in there too. Yes, episode 4.
What is it called?
Let me actually Google this. So I don't know if I got or what. Yes, this is. Yes, the fear of ketchup. More phobia.
English?
I mean, look at that. I mean, that isn't hardly English. There's like a little cartoon tomato right there. He looks sad. But yeah, that's a great moment. And then don't forget Knight making fun of Marlon.
Yes.
I think that would have gotten him canceled today.
You think? So, all right, let's move on. One of the last teams eliminated before the finale, you do not want to go home now, and that is Anissa and Diem. So I wish Andy was on to defend Anissa here because I know we hate Anissa. She ain't that good, and I'm upset that I don't know why Andy likes her so much, but like this team. I feel like this was like one of the hardest eliminations when they lost to Camilla and Jemmy at the end. Because I feel like everybody's rooting for Diem to like make it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, damn, they were so close kind of thing.
It was tough to see her go home. And It was like the one time by association that I think a lot of people were rooting for Anissa. Because and like I don't know, they weren't a great team, but compared to like the rest of them, they clearly could have been like third place. Like that could have happened. Like Diem was still in good shape. Anissa wasn't in good shape on Rivals 2, but you compare that to kind of how she looks today, and it's like you definitely take the shape she was in on Rivals 2. No offense to Anissa. But yeah, this is just like you said it best. I think you felt bad when they were going home.
It was tough. It was like I don't want to say it was like the fan favorite vote, like a fan favorite team that you wanted to make it, but like I feel like it was over Camilla and Jemmy 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in terms of rooting interest, yes,
correct. Yeah. So, should we talk a little bit about Diem and CT this season?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think, I mean, CT was just a player this entire season. I think you said earlier 4 people he hooked up with.
If Diem was in there, then 4. Yes, I'm
Well,
not
Diem
sure.
was episode 1 too.
Was she?
Where, I mean, I don't know, hooked up,
Oh,
but like made out, where she had the wig on in the pool and then like took it
I
off.
think 4 then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because like I felt like it was always like CT got close with DM again, and then he started hooking up with other girls. DM got jealous. Then like episode 6, 7, 8, they're kind of back, and then it was like right before the elimination. I remember like he kind of like turned on her and didn't like stick up for her during
Yeah.
the voting and stuff like that. And she took like how can you do this? Like I thought we were friends, kind of thing. So
Yeah. CT, I think, just from watching like a little bit of episode 1, I forgot how much of a douchebag he was this season.
yeah,
And I think the reason I forget is because like he doesn't really act the way he acts on Rivals 2 that often, because the last like half of his career, he's this like old man, right? He has kind of the beer gut and he's just like walking around. He's like Grandpa CT. The first half of his career, most of it is like the first third of his career, let's say, is like he's a douchebag and he's a mean person who punches people, but like he's kind of just like a wild animal. And then you look at like even like the season right after this was Free Agents. Wasn't he like pretty quiet on that? Like he had the beard. He was kind of just there being like the CT figure. And then if you throw on Rivals too, like he is just full on manipulative.
he goes through so many stages like in his career, and this one I would argue this is his worst era.
I agree. I
Like
think this is like his worst. I mean, he wins obviously, but just in terms of like a rooting interest, like this might be his worst season. Like he's a dick.
he's unwatchable. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so mean. I forgot that.
Yeah.
He's like on episode 1, he's like making ginger jokes to Wes as they're like kind of laughing like before he makes the joke, and he's just like any chance he gets to just like be a dick, he is. And like you said, I think the big thing was at the end of the season where he I think he was sticking up for like Emily kind of instead of Diem, like the one he has like or Cook maybe like a long history with, and hooking up with Anastasia like right in front of her. Like all of that stuff is just like borderline evil.
Yep.
Like what was his problem this season?
No idea. So we'll talk more obviously with CT here in a little bit, but let's go on to the people who made it to the final. And first one's Camilla and Jemmy. Honestly, looking at this team, obviously Camilla had a ring by then. I don't think it's that good of a team. Like maybe I just really think Jemmy's like one of the worst challenge competitors of all time. But like I don't know. I don't like this team.
It's incredibly easy to root against Jimmy. Camilla, like you said, was a champ at this point, and I think she was a good challenger. I mean, she ends up winning a second ring at some point. I also think I know Camilla got canceled, but this is probably the best she's ever looked in a season. She looked incredible on Rivals 2, in my opinion. But yeah, this is a team that, like, if you would have told me they went home episode 2, I wouldn't have been shocked.
Yeah.
Because not only is Jimmy bad, not bad, but like bad, Camilla's also had a couple early exits too. Like Camilla can go home early at some point. Like she's a smaller girl. She has her weaknesses. And so if you would have told me they went home early, I would have believed you. But I kind of guess it makes sense that they got into the final, mainly because they had a lot of alliances. They had a lot of guys looking out for them.
Well, you talk about could have been a team that could have gone home, like episode 2. I mean, it was talking about eliminations. I mean, when they went against Diem and Anissa, it was the rope cutting one where they're hanging upside down, and Diem's complaining because she can't reach it. She's a foot taller than Camilla, and Camilla's reaching it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the type of challenger Camilla is. You put something in front of her, she's just going to do it. she's kind of a lunatic. She's, some things that we
Kind of.
don't some things that we don't condone of. But yeah, she's just gonna go ahead and do it. And I mean, good for her. Like we know they're a bad team, but like this is another, bronze medal on Camilla's resume.
Yeah. Anything else with this team before we go into our third place guys?
I don't think so. Before we go there, because actually, I'll save it. Go ahead.
All right. Third place guys, rookies, Jordan and Marlon.
Jordan Marlin.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on these guys
Why
because
not?
I feel like I could talk days about Jordan. But it was just a taste of what we're going to get with Jordan. And I mean, it just showed how good of a competitor he was. One hand and all, doesn't matter. Third place in this season. Like, I mean, that's incredible. Rookie season?
This watching Jordan on Rivals 2 is kind of like it's like watching rookie LeBron highlights or rookie Brady highlights. And you can kind of like you can see glimpses of greatness. You can see that there's things that like need to develop, but like you have this confidence that they are going to develop. And it's just so funny now being like Jordan is, one of however you want to rank him, undisputed top 3 challenger, arguably the GOAT, like the best, maybe pure challenger to ever do it, just like good at shit, finals, all of that. And to just see like a young Jordan, just like, with all of these other like heavy hitters around him going toe for toe. And, they make the final. And like, if you want to do the breakdown of Jordan's resume and you look at all the times he didn't win, like this is one of them. And it's like, yeah, he didn't win. It was also his rookie season, and he was running in a final against CT West, Bananas, and Frank. Like 4 like awesome challengers. Jordan was right there with them. They won 2 eliminations and on the route to get here. And like there's just like so many, there's dozens of legendary Jordan moments after this season, and it's just fun revisiting Rivals 2 from a Jordan perspective.
I think your first line where you're like, oh, it reminded me of like watching like LeBron rookie highlights. I think that is literally the best way to describe it. Like,
wow,
the flashes, like, I don't know, man. Seeing Jordan again and just still competing at the level that he's at, it's just incredible. It really is. I see like Mikey the Doctor. Who would have thought that he would have turned into the go? I don't think there was any like part of me that thought he would be the greatest of all time. Like obviously the cockiness, all that, but like he's just a dog. He is a dog. He also writes, Mikey Doctor also writes, got to earn your stripes, bananas. That was probably the moment that kind of humbled him the most. I think we can all agree. But, I mean, why do we fall? So we can learn how to pick ourselves back up. And, that was just a moment of Jordan's game that just made him better for the future. So Jordan Marlin, overall, a good rookie season, good team, real world Portland team. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. Marlin, I think this was his only season that he's ever done. I could be wrong. Let me pull this up. But Marlin, yeah, 1 season and that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And when you look at this team, it's interesting too because at the time, right, we don't know what either of them are going to become. And I don't remember anything that happened in a daily or elimination that was necessarily like, oh, Jordan's carrying this team or Marlon's carrying this team. Like, I feel like the whole time it felt pretty equal.
Yeah.
And they're both like good athletes. And so it's almost like a Kevin Durant, Greg Oden type thing where they're both like high prospects. They both like did well kind of at the lower level. And you don't know like who's going to ascend to basically be the GOAT. And then Marlon didn't, necessarily like do anything bad. They just like never brought him back on. But it's funny watching them compete as a team because one of them ends up being kind of the Michael Jordan of the challenge. And then one of them is Marlon.
I mean, just insane. All right. Next, what do we got? Second place, girls. Cara and Cook. I think this team, when the show started, is a bottom 3 team when it was Naomi and Cook. Bottom 3 team.
Okay.
I think when you added Cara and took Naomi out, it became easily a top 3 team.
I think they probably are. When Cara comes in, I think they're number 2.
Okay.
And I feel like Emily and Paula maybe said this in the reunion or something, but something along the lines of like, everybody knew that they were the best team, Emily and Paula. And those two kind of looked around the rest of the girls and they were like, we got this, we're going to win. And the second Cara walked in there, they were like, now we have something to worry about. Like, yes, there's, plenty like John and Nani, like Anissa and Diem, like they're solid middle of the road teams, but like nothing we really need to worry about. And then when Cara walks in and now you have a team where Cook is now your second best player as opposed to your first, and Cara is your best player, like that's a team you have to worry about. And they worried, and I think they said this like in the final maybe too, like they pushed them as close as they could, and they couldn't quite pull off the upset. They couldn't quite beat Emily and Paula, but like they got far and they got close and they got second place, and that's impressive for both of these two.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's tough because this is also a team, and I might argue, do you think it's harder, for example, like these people, like, I don't want to say chemistry because obviously when you talk about rivals, there is no chemistry. They just hate each other. But is it almost harder to work with somebody you have no idea anything about them? I mean, that's how it was for Cook and Cara.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know each other. I do think there's a little advantage because you don't hate each other, absolutely. But I think to the point, like, when you're in episode 2, 3, or I guess your daily 2, 3, how much of a rival are you honestly with this person anymore?
Yeah, it was funny though, because I feel like they had no history together, but I kind of remember by like episode 5 or 6, they kind of didn't like each other. And I think it was mainly just because Kara's general demeanor and personality. Like, I don't think they got along, but they didn't have a history together. So I think it was easy for them to just be like, yeah, maybe we just met and we don't like gel, like we're not like friends, but like you never did anything to me, I never did anything to you, like let's figure this out. And they did for the most part. But it was definitely like we had the same thing, or I guess similar thing with Leroy on Rivals 1 when Mike comes in. Like those guys were legitimately friends. And so it's kind of just like, I feel like the production just like rubbing the term rivals in our face. Like Cara and Cook didn't know each other.
Yeah, not rivals at all, but like to a point, like it's still hard to compete. So, all right, moving on. Talking to another person who, how the hell are they rivals? Frank and Johnny, Bananas.
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of, I think, like, obviously the last one we just talked about, that was a freak thing because it was just a replacement. Out of the other remaining 15 teams, this has to be the weakest rivals. Over Twitter?
I kind of like it.
Oh, come on.
And why I kind of like it is because, and they showed like episode 1, like they showed some screenshots of the tweets. It's just very, very, to me, it seems less of the challenge stretching rivalries and more of 2013. Like 2013, Twitter was a huge thing. A lot of other things hadn't really taken off. Like Twitter was kind of the place to go to talk about the challenge. And when they show those screenshots of like the old Twitter UI, like it just kind of brings you back to a time where like Twitter was a more innocent thing and a bigger thing. And so the fact that they made a rivalry out of Twitter, I know it's stupid, but to me, it kind of also makes sense.
I mean, to your point, Twitter back in the day was like pre 9/11 TSA. It was the Wild Wild West.
Yes.
It was insane. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it from a producer standpoint too, like you have Frank who just won the season before and was a firecracker on it. You knew you had to get him back on. And really the only rival you could have given him from the show would have been Zach, because him and Zach kind of hated each other. So I guess you could have done that, but like you also have to bring Bananas on. And so you're like, hey, we're trying to boost our following on our challenge Twitter account. Let's kind of do a Twitter thing, like Bananas and Frank, exchanged a few tweets. Let's bring them on. And this was a fun team. This was a fun team because Bananas was like peak Bananas, the long hair. I didn't like that. But he had the bobblehead and stuff. And Frank had like one of the best 3-season careers in recent memory. Like he was just like a very well-rounded challenger, good at a lot of stuff. Was a good character, like loud on TV, fun to watch. And putting them two together was just like a fun ride all season, I feel like.
let me go this route with you. You just brought something up. I mean, we talked about CT earlier. We talked about Zach earlier. Talked about now Bananas with his hair. Is this the douchiest season of the challenge ever?
Wow.
It might be. I mean, Bananas literally brought on a bobblehead of himself.
I think it might be. And I mean, it was 2013. I feel like 2013 was a very douchey time frame.
I feel like correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like that would be the year like Andy would used to wear like Nike Elite socks, probably like a shooting sleeve and like a polo, maybe.
Like
I don't know. Hollister, way too much cologne, probably spiking the hair up a little. Like what?
I think you're right. This might have been the douchiest cast. I mean, you got like Knight. Knight was a douche, R.I.P. But just a lot of douchey energy all around.
I'm gonna go through the photo archive real quick to find 2013.
We gotta keep this thing going.
God. All right.
Bananas and Frank. Who was the second place? Oh, we already talked about Carr and Cook. So first place, right?
Yeah, we're at the winners.
So first place girls, Paula and Emily, CT and Wes for the guys. Let's just kind of talk about what are you laughing at?
I'm just looking at 2013 Andy merch.
What do we got?
I gotta find a better one real quick.
Is there a shooting sleeve?
There's got to be a shooting sleeve. Did he delete that picture?
Mikey the Doctor, great point. This is around the Jersey Shore hype.
God, where did this photo go?
So, okay. So let's get into the winners.
Okay.
Because I think this is an interesting season to me because from day one, I think the favorites for the guys would have been CT and Wes. The favorites for the girls would have been Emily and Paula. They both won. They both kind of dominated the whole way there. And yet it was still like a fun season to watch. Like most of the time, if, the odds on favorite wins, it's not as fun. But they both win. And, something else I was thinking about too, not to jump ahead to MVP, LVP, but like, if you were to force me to pick like a single person for MVP, it's just tough because I feel like Wes and CT, like the greatness of that team was the fact that they were both on that team. Like it wasn't one carrying the other. Like they were both awesome, and kind of the same thing for the girls too. Like, and I think when we did our Challenge Madness best teams of all time, CT and Wes and Emily and Paul like both made it very far. Like these were teams that we expected to be great, and they were. And I think that speaks to like the greatness of all four of them, not necessarily like one over the other. And they all took home gold. So what do you think? Like I think it's very chalky, but like it's satisfying in a way that all these four of these people won.
I mean, they were the best teams, hands down.
Yeah.
It's just, would they deliver? Emily and Paula, I mean, they dominated the season. Like, I mean, it was up there. I mean, when we talk about most like dominated seasons of all time, I mean, like, I think of like Jordan and Sarah's political game in Battle of the X's 2. I think of Bananas and Sarah in Rivals 3. This is one that's up there. Like, they dominated this game.
And CT and West kind of did too.
Correct.
Like, it was two of the more dominant seasons in the same season for both of these teams.
Yeah. Which it should have been. Like, they weren't far. Like, I think the gap between, it's hard to say once you added Kara into the mix, but the gap between the males were a lot closer than the females, I think.
I agree. I think, though, realistically, the only I mean, we now know Jordan is a beast, but at the time, the only team we thought could have challenged was like Bananas and Frank. But yeah, like they just, the one thing I wish one of them, CT and Wes or Emily and Paula, would have just gone into a random elimination. But that speaks to how good they were, that they were never in that position, either losing a challenge or having votes. Like, they always had the numbers on their side. And two of the more just dominant team performances of all time. I was also thinking of our four winners here on Rivals 2. I think this is an underrated, like, legacy season for all four of these people. And what I mean by that is, if you just go through CT, people forget at this point, CT hadn't won a challenge. He was winless going into this season. And, now he has 5 rings, I think. And you would have guessed, like, if CT doesn't win Rivals 2, you would have guessed that he would win one at some point. But if you play the what if game, if he doesn't win this, then the next ring that he did win was Invasion of the Champs.
He wasn't going to
go. If he doesn't win Rivals 2, he's not on that season.
Well, not necessarily.
What, is he a challenger? No, come on.
He would have dominated.
So I don't think he wins that. And then even then, I think if he's not on Invasion, he'll still win one at some point. But it is kind of fun to think about, like, going into that season, CT was still, like, looking for his first ring.
Yeah.
And then somebody like Wes, I think, is just a great challenger. And if you look at his resume, like, you would maybe guess that he has, like, it feels like Wes should have like 3 rings, and he has 2. And he, up to that point in Rivals 1 or Rivals 2, he only had 1 ring. And so it's kind of weird that it took him that long to get number 2. And this ring was basically able to help him join the 2-timers club. And then from a female's perspective, Paula is basically able to win 2 rings after going, several seasons in a row. Like, the thing with Paula was always like, she gets close, never wins, and then she wins 2 rival seasons before she retires. Very John Elway-esque. And then Emily, people forget she hadn't won at this point. And she had, I think this was only her 3rd season, but, like, still she was viewed as this, like, dominant female challenger. And if she, randomly loses Rivals 2 for some reason, and then she never does this show again until season 40, we're looking back saying, like, Emily is one of the best to never win. And so I think there's just a lot of things that, like, it makes sense in a way that Wes, CT, Paul, and Emily all won, but it's also, like, very important for all 4 of their legacies.
Huge legacy thing. I also want to bring up, and we were talking about the douchiest season ever, Wes in the reunion show, that haircut.
Oh my God, that's so punchable.
He looks like me right now.
He looks like a little preppy kid from HSE.
I mean, come on. God. Should we talk about, and I kind of want to give you the honors. Should we talk about the Bananas versus CT versus Wes, monster trucks, everything?
We have to. I think now we kind of get into, like, random moments that we missed. And I think this is a great one to start with. So to set the stage, it is before it's voting for the last guy's elimination. and I think Knight and Preston were already voted in, right? And
Mhm.
so and CT and West won. And so it was basically like, are we voting in Bananas and Frank or Jordan and Marlon? And it was pretty well assumed that it was going to be Jordan and Marlon just because they were rookies, didn't have, as strong connections. And they get to that point and they all just start talking shit. And it's basically turns into like Wes and CT versus Bananas. Frank is kind of in there because he's Bananas' teammate, but it's really the two of them versus Bananas. They talk about the monster truck. I have 30 companies. I have a house, all that. And they're just going back and forth. And I don't know about you, but like this is one of my favorite challenge moments ever. Like one of my favorite challenge fights. And there's so many reasons why I like it. Like one of them is it felt so genuine, like the hatred that all of those guys had, um, which is just something that we don't have today. Like, I mean, even fast forward a few seasons from then, like Wes and CT, make up their friends. Bananas and CT are kind of boys. Bananas and Wes had always been like secret best friends, but still hatred. But now, like in 2025, they're kind of best friends. But back then, 2013, like they legitimately hated each other. And seeing that all kind of boil up all season, they've kind of been playing separate games, like keeping it civil. And then this moment happened. And I think the peak of it was kind of Bananas pushing Wes, right? When Wes was kind of standing over him. Like, this was a fun, like, you're watching this live and you're like, holy shit, what is happening?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Bananas and Wes were the ones jawing at each other. And then it was kind of like, it was almost like, oh shit, Wes is my partner, CT kind of did. And then he stepped in, and then it was just like a 2-on-1 all out assault.
Yes. Well, and it was basically, it turned into that, yeah. And then Frank was kind of there helping, but I remember like vividly a lot of the jabs and insults that they were doing because Wes basically said like, Wes basically said like when we did the duel 10 years ago, it was everybody on themselves. I won. You went home first. Bananas said to CT like you gassed out in Iceland, and they showed the flashback to X's one, and it was like real stuff. Like they were challenging each other's resumes. And Bananas was saying like I went home first, but that was like 10 years ago. All this stuff, like they were legitimately like questioning each other and like how like strong of challengers they were. And they said like to Bananas to his face, like, you're out of shape. You're not in the shape you used to be, which was kind of true. Bananas was kind of out of shape that season. And it just felt like there was like 10 seasons of like stuff we want to say to each other bubbling up that just all boiled up there. And to your point about kind of Wes or CT sticking up for Wes, watching this fight happen is very interesting because the three of those guys, even at that time, like 2013, let's say before Rivals 2 starts, Wes, CT, and Bananas all hated each other. And the only reason CT was defending Wes because they were teammates. Like there's another world out there where like Bananas and Wes are partners and they're kind of teaming up on CT, or Bananas and CT are teaming up on Wes. And it just so happened that CT and Wes were partners and they were the ones teaming up on Bananas. But like at the time, all three of those guys hated each other. And so it just like,
you could have picked your poison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, that was like one of my favorite moments of the challenge.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've gone through it. Any other odd moments?
So you had the episode 1, CT and Marlon got in the fight in the pool, which was just, we talked about CT being a douche. I think this is a perfect example of that. We talked about Jordan kind of hooking up with Sarah, hooking up with Nani. A lot of good hookups this season. CT had his fair share. Nani had her fair share as usual. Leroy and Teresa. We talked about the catch-up gate. I feel like there's a couple other things we're missing. The reunion was an all-time reunion shit show. I don't think they ever did another live reunion, right?
So I want to bring up one thing, and this just speaks to kind of like the history of the challenge or the legacy that this season put on, or just kind of like the challenge in general. Because I'm looking at something that kind of blew my mind. So, reminder: this show's on MTV. It's not like on NBC. It's not on anything big, huge views, whatever. Episode 1 had 1.57 million viewers. Okay, 1.57 million. The Island of Misfit Challengers, which was the last one, was 1.61, the highest it's been all season long.
Like that was the last episode of Rivals 2?
Yes.
Okay.
The season finale. Actually, there was one episode 4. Your phobia one was 1.78 million.
Okay.
You go to today on the challenge. How many views do you think we're getting on these episodes today?
I think most of them are like less than 500,000, right?
Oh, it's like, I mean, you look at last season, it was like 0.4. So I mean, you're looking at 400,000. I mean, we were talking about a show that had 3 to 4 times as many viewers. I mean, that's insane.
And it felt like must-see TV. This the challenge did.
I mean, everybody used to watch the show. It was like a thing that you would go to the water cooler the next day and talk about.
It was. And, you know, I know we do it every season or every week still because of the podcast. But like back in the day, without a podcast, it was still like, you need to watch. Like, this is the most electric thing on TV. You need to see which team goes home. You need to see the elimination. You need to see all of that. And this was, you know, a pre-social media taking over, influencer culture, all of that shit that kind of helped basically ruin the challenge. But yeah, this was must-see TV, and the fact that they were like pulling in that viewership was insane. It was the peak. It was the peak.
And Mikey the Doctor, for your information, obviously 60-minute episodes. The season was 12 episodes, and our reunion was our 13th. 13 episodes.
But I believe episode 1 was 90 minutes, which is the perfect formula. Make episode 1 90 minutes. You can get away with that. People want to watch the challenge is back. Like, put that on. After that, shorten it, and then shorten the season.
Yeah.
Episode 1, you can do 90 minutes. Yeah, Rivals 2, really, really fun season. Looks like first place got 125,000. I think that's just split.
Damn.
Wow. But I think Bananas stole like 5 times that. Good cast. I'm trying to think. I feel like we talked about Leroy getting the burn vote. Zach with the helmet throw. Just a lot of really, you look at it at a high level, the cast is good, format was good, and then you look at like the specific moments, and there's enough specific moments that we remember and kind of help carry the season on in our memories.
Such a fun season. I mean, like I said to begin the show, I love Rivals.
Remember like the daily when they had like the dog shock collars on?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like, and they're like blindfolded.
Thing, but still smirk.
But those are the kind of things where it's like we don't see.
No, and I loved basically the 4-man hall brawl, where one guy's playing defense, one guy's playing offense. I like that one, the elimination.
So good.
Just a lot of good things from this season, and it was peak challenge. This is the challenge heyday, and I know it was right after Battle of Seasons, but I think Rivals 2 got everybody back on board, which helped why free agents did so well, because we had been conditioned to basically be like, this season's going to be good. It is good. Let's go.
Andy circa 2020 or 2013 photo. There's a photo, and I know Alex knows what I'm talking about. I think he's scrubbed from the internet, and I'm kind of pissed.
Explain.
God, the shooting sleeve one. He's wearing like a collared shirt. Or is that you?
Not me.
Is it? Wait. It might actually be you. Then I think about it. No, it's definitely Andy.
I don't think I've ever worn a shooting sleeve.
I'm just so pissed. I think he scrubbed it from the internet, guys. I apologize.
Wow.
It's not here. check Twitter. I'm on Facebook now.
So that's what you've been doing this whole time.
Yes, exactly. I've been struggling trying to.
I kind of want to watch. It says on the Wikipedia page that there was a launch special called The Road to Rivals 2 that aired like a week before the season. And that's not on Paramount. But I would love for somebody to dig up that footage. That just seems like a classic, like, here's the rivalries, here's why bananas. But like the way they did it back then was so good, as opposed to like episode 0 that they do now. What is it?
I mean, this is just classic 2012, 2013. Just collar shirt, polo. I mean,
Tee him up.
tee him up. I mean, what else we got? I'm pissed. He deleted, even though I can't show this, but never mind. I can't show the photo I'm about to show.
I think he scrubbed it.
I'll just say there was another one of, and once Andy hears this, he'll know the exact photo. And I will always stand by Andy on this one. It is the best photo Andy's ever taken. The presidential one where he's pointing. But you know why I can't show that.
We'll get into that.
God, Jim Leland might be calling me from the grave.
Jesus. Tee him up.
All right. Anything else? MVP, LVP. We got to do that.
All right. MVP, LVP. Mikey, what's the order? I think Mikey's still around. Oh, my God.
This game is low-key good. I don't know if anybody's watching.
Minute 10 left?
I got 59 seconds.
Oh, God. No spoilers.
Surely he doesn't, like, turn it over.
No spoilers. All right. Brunson. He turned it over.
God. All right. They're passing it in 101. I won't say anything.
How many seconds left you got?
I got 58, 57, 56, 55.
Yeah, you're playing. All right.
Alex, Trev for our MVP order. Alex, MVP, who you got?
God, Mikey did this to me because he knew that I said I had difficulty picking an MVP this season.
Are we? Well, we got to choose one person, correct? We can't choose a team.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
God, you say bananas. I say Frank. You say
know what?
CT, I say Wes.
You know what? I'm going to pick a single person. I'm not going to pick CT because he was just such a douche this season. But I have to pick a champion because all 4 of them did so well. I'm going to go with Wes.
Ooh, okay.
And maybe I feel like I was equally torn between the 2 females. So maybe that's why I'm leaning Wes. I'm going to go with Wes because this isn't the best Wes season, I don't think. I think he's had a couple better. But this was an important one for him to get that second ring. And he was skinny Wes. He was not roided up Wes. And he leaned into that and basically said, like, CT, I'm fine with you being the strength of our team. I'm going to run a lot of the political game. Like, I think he called him a dog on a leash at some point, which is just classic Wes. And I think he had sunscreen. I think he actually responded to a tweet of mine about having sunscreen on his face back in the final. But I'm just going to go Wes because he's a champion, and this was a really important season for him.
Good pick. I'm going to go with Emily. Emily. I think, we kind of talked about it earlier. It was a team that dominated the entire season. And I think for her, you go back-to-back finals, and then you can finally get your first ring.
Yeah.
So I think this was a huge legacy thing for her. And it showed how the season started. Can she do it? Was like Evelyn, for example. I'm going to do the impossible. I'm going to get Paulo a ring. Same thing.
Yeah. And she was throwing 98. I think this was right before she got a little too CrossFit-y from a looks perspective. She still looked great. And I feel like I remember she had a lot of like smirky interactions with Jordan, like kind of flirty, and they were just kind of like smirking at each other, like kind of downplaying their like political like moves that they were trying to do. I have like weird memories of that. But she was just like, this was just peak Emily.
Oh yeah.
That's a great pick.
My LVP, this one's tough. I mean, you could go chalky and go Naomi, but I think I'm gonna go. My LVP are douchebags,
Douchebag.
and I think I'm picking that because I mean there were just so many of them this season. It was the douchiest douchebag season of all time.
Oh my god.
I mean, we talked about it, but it was like, I mean, the only way it could have gotten worse was if you had like the Miz on. I mean, everybody was, and Kenny, I guess.
God. And it didn't help that like they were in Thailand and they were all like sweaty the entire time. They looked like they had like anytime you see any cast member, it looks like they like just like walked out of like a high school like basement party.
Come on. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so your pick is douchebags.
Yes.
By the way, did you see what the title of episode 3? Just look that up while I think of my pick, and you'll get a little bulge out of that.
Episode 3.
My pick for LVP.
Oh, the Dark Knight Rises. I did see that earlier.
It's tough doing these old seasons. I mean, I hate to do it, but I'm just gonna give it to CT.
And I was thinking that.
I know he's
like,
the champ, but
yeah, I
think
know.
we're far enough removed where he can just say like, "Hey, you've had 5 rings. I don't care." Just such a douche. I almost want to like, I wouldn't disparage anybody if they gave the MVP to CT because you can say like, "Oh, he made for really good TV this season," which he did.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also someone that like, if this season aired live right now, I'd be rooting 100% against him, and I'd be mad that he won. Kind of Fessy-y.
But you love Fezzy.
No, that's Andy's guy.
Oh, classic Verge mix-up.
Yeah.
So, all right. We did it, Alex. We finished the Rivals trilogy. I would argue that, and I know it was episode 3, I would argue that this trilogy is very Batman-esque. We had Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises. I think you could argue for all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 are entertaining and borderline great in their own way. I think 1 and 2 are way better. Not Batman, but this.
I would argue 1 and 2 Batmans are the best ones.
Oh yeah,
well.
I guess yeah.
I'd like to throw that out there.
But yeah,
what would you rate them?
What, Batman or
No, yeah, Batman right now. Okay, now welcome to the Dark Knight podcast show. No, the seasons of Rivals.
Rivals, I go 1, 2, 3
in order. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you?
I think I go 2, 1, 3.
You go 2 over 1.
I go 2 a lot because I always say this was my first season, so I always had a.
That's fair. And you know what? 1 was my first season. All right, 14 seconds left here. All right, clearing it out for Brunson. Oh, I mean, wide open shot.
Jalen Brunson.
Oh my God.
Put Schroeder on skates.
Oh my God. He wanted that. He asked for it and he got it. Oh my God.
Insane.
He was almost out of bounds.
I mean, on that note, I think we should just wrap this up and watch the end of this game. So thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. Actually, Alex, are we going to be back soon? What are we doing?
We'll be back for another offseason soon.
When's the Legends Tour CT?
We're saving that.
Okay.
I think before that we'll do a re-bananas or re-west.
Please. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I've been your host, Trevor. You can follow us on Twitter at Stir the Pod. You can follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Shout out Duffy. Bye-bye.